one-on-ones are like the planes. And so what this happens on Thursdays and Saturdays. And between Thursday and Saturday, you want to be taking off, flying, and coming back down, right? Taking off, flying, retouching down. But you're doing this over and over. So having all of these one-on-ones and all these conversations outside of Thursday and Saturday, with Thursday and Saturday being the airport, that's where we touch down with all the people that we've had the one-on-ones with. So that's sort of what you're trying to achieve. Really, do you like one-on-ones or BPMs better? I like them both. I like to use one as the spring gate for the other. But if I had to choose, like you said, I'd rather have them here because they got better chance to see it. I just got brand new markers and somehow this one's already.
Those are the ones that was in the job.
Oh, okay. So here's the basic process. Basic process. All right, let's chunk this down. So it's less of me speaking, it's more back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So the first part of the process is the interview. So this is number one, the interview. And the interview is where we're getting to know, or where you're getting to know them. Okay? Getting to know them. Okay? What are we looking for? We're looking for their strengths. We're looking for weaknesses. We're looking for reasons to change. What do I mean by change? Reasons to leave their job. So you guys heard me talking about this guy that I helped Nikki recruit that made $350 grand last year. So I was talking to him today, and Nikki did his first webinar. He had like 10 guests on the webinar tonight, right? Because he doesn't have like a local office or a local BPM. And he's like, he's talking to me, he's frustrated. His best friend, he's having troubles getting on the webinar and interested in doing it. His best friend also works with him. And as I'm talking to him, his best friend used to work in the cheese factory like him, was making 35 grand, now he's making over 100 grand a year. His best friend's not dissatisfied. He's not dissatisfied. So it has nothing to do with this guy, Justin. It has nothing to do with our company. It's just not the right time. The guy's not dissatisfied. So you've got to find reasons that they want to change. This could also be code word dissatisfied. Right? What are they dissatisfied with? Did they just get passed over for a promotion? Are they not being paid what they're worth? Do they got a long commute? Does their boss treat them cruddy? Does their boss micromanage them? Do they have like no sense of autonomy? Do they work long hours but not get paid for them? Like, what are they dissatisfied about? So you want to get to know them as a person. You want to know their strengths or weaknesses, reasons to change, right? And then, what are they dissatisfied, right? Got to find some buttons here. What else do we want to find? Their market. Do they have a market? And how big is it? What kind of credibility do they have? So, I'm just going to ask a series of questions almost conversationally in an effort to get these. Here's another big one I want to get. Their income. This is a big one. Okay? So, here's what I have for you. First side of the sheet looks like this. It's called probing questions. I'm going to pass one out to all of you guys. You guys will all find a partner. Okay? And then sit down with the partner and decide who's number one, who's number two. I'm going to give you each about 5 minutes just to work through the process. Here's some of the bullet points I have on you. You don't have to ask all of these. It's a conversation. Here's what I want you to remember. You're the assessor. You're the interviewer. They're the assessee. They're the interviewee. That means you're in control asking the questions. They're doing all the answering. Does that make sense? So what's important to me is two things. One is I'm asking the question here is that A, I'm listening to their answer because that's part of the dance. And B, that I already sort of know what my next question is going to be. Because if there's a long pause, like James gets done answering, I'm like, okay, that was good. the longer there's this weird awkward pause, the more he's thinking of asking me a question. And he doesn't ask me questions because I'm interviewing him. The person asking questions is in control. So, ideas on here, you can literally just go one by one, you can skip them, you can do them in any order. Tell me a little bit about your current career, Jeanette. And then she tells me a little bit about her current career. That's an open-ended question, right? Oh, tell me about, hey, before you did that, what are some other jobs that you held? She's going to tell me about some other jobs that she had. What's the best job you ever had? Who's the best boss you've ever had? Why were they the best boss? Who's the worst boss you've ever had? Why were they the worst? What do you like about your career? What would you change about your career if you could? What are some things that are important to you? So if she's married, here's where I'm going to frame this. Are you married? What's your husband's name? How long have you been married? Tell me about him. What does he do? Right? Why? Because I want to find out about the market.
And does he just ask mine?
Right? And I also want to find out about her better half, right? When you two get some quiet time, what are some of the things that you guys talk about that are important to you guys? Like 1, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. And she's going to start telling me about goals and things. We talk about traveling. We talk about buying a house. We talk about having babies. We talk about whatever it is, right? Awesome. How important is it to you on a scale of 1 to 10 to achieve these things? And I may go thing by thing. Like, well, you say you guys talk about travel. How important is that to you on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, you say you want to buy a house, right? And so I might start sort of nailing a couple of these down a little bit. Does that make sense? It's okay to ask questions, right? There are no dumb questions. There are dumb people, but there's no dumb questions. Right?
I heard that.
I might be related to a few. How confident are you that you can achieve these things at your certain job? Right? Tell me a little bit about your family growing up. What did your father do? What did your mom do? Did she work outside the home? Do you have brothers and sisters? Tell me about them. Did you play high school sports? Were you involved in other activities? What do your brothers and sisters do now? Do they live in the area? Do your parents still live in the area? Can you see how she could talk a long time about any number? Well, my sister was a nurse. Now she's a stay-at-home mom. She's got 3 kids. She married an accountant. My brother was a blacksmith, whatever. You know, I mean, just, whatever, right? On and on and on, right? Do you have a big family? Just like your mother or father have lots of sisters and brothers there. Do you have lots of uncles and aunts? What about on your husband's side? Do you have in-laws? Do they have lots do you guys get together and do like big 4th of July parties or Labor Day or Memorial parties, right? She thinks I'm asking her sort of softball questions and sort of getting to know her as a person, which I am. Because as somebody tells me about their family growing up, their extended family now, how they do things as a family, I learn a lot about that person. I really get to know that person at a different level. But I also know what kind of a market they have and what kind of credibility. Oh yeah, I never see, well yeah, they all live locally, but I don't really know what my brother's doing. We don't really talk too often. Oh, okay. So you're sort of one of those. Okay, got it. Right, I'm just finding out, right? What are you good at? What are some of the things you're good at? What do you enjoy doing, right? If I called your boss right now, before you made it to the parking lot, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about hiring Jeanette, I really like her a lot, but what are some things that I might have to work with her on? That she still needs, what are some areas she still needs to develop or grow in? What am I asking her for? Tell me what your weaknesses are. I'm just doing it in a soft way that she's more likely to actually tell me, right? She sort of knows that, but I'm sort of putting her in a position where it's hard for her not to answer that, right? So just probing questions. I want to get to know her, and while I want to get to know her, I want to figure out what are some of her strengths, what do I like about her, what are some of her weaknesses, what are some of the things that she's frustrated right now with her current career, job, boss, income, life, any of that sort of stuff, goals, okay? You've got to find something that she's dissatisfied or frustrated with. And I want to find out a little bit about her market. One of the things that Fitzroy did not put on here that I'll always ask, it's just a matter of when I'm asking her lots of questions and she's answering and she's very comfortable, like she's just, just spilling at the mouth every time I ask a question, at some point I can go, so let me ask you this, so you're doing this, so you're a sous chef at Raw, so I'm just curious, what do they pay you for that? What do you get paid twice a month? Every other week? So what do you take home every other week, just out of curiosity? 3,000, now is that like your gross, or is that what you take home after they like chip away at it and take all the stuff out, the taxes and stuff? Gross, so what do you take home after they take all that stuff out of it? 28, that sounds about right. Every single one I want to ask that. Because that's a control question. People can tell me about their goals and dreams and how they're not achieving them and what a butt their boss is and everything else, right? But they can put up this fake wall like they're not really interested in doing this. Like they're okay, like things aren't that bad. Once I find out exactly how much she makes, it's like transparency occurs. And now, have you ever had a conversation with somebody you knew WFG would be great for them, but they were sort of big timing you and pretending like they really didn't need this? You get them to answer that question, that'll never happen again. Never happens once you get them to answer that question. But in the context of asking all these other questions, it comes out really soft, and they're in the habit of, I'm asking, she's answering, I'm asking, she's answering, I'm asking, she's answering, all of a sudden it's like, I asked her and she's just like, it would be awkward for her not to. Does that make sense?
What do you do if she does refuse? Like, oh, why are you asking me that?
I'm just curious.
Okay.
I'm just curious. I mean, and sometimes I'll guess. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people in your field before. I mean, I would guess you'd probably be making, and sometimes I'll even guess high for them, which makes them feel worse, right? It's like I'm trying to pay them a compliment, but it really is like a backhanded compliment that makes them feel worse. If I think she's making 60, and I'm pretty sure about it in her career as a guest, I'll probably say, I've worked with some people in your field before, you're probably making 75 or 80, so that's like $6-7 grand a month, 3,500 every other paycheck, you're probably taking home like 2,800. And then usually once I do that, she'll go, well, no, it's more like blah, 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 blah. As long as I'm not like $50,000 off, if I'm like 15 grand off, she'll correct me. And then, good, I know. She'd be like, I wish, actually, they're only paying me that. Okay, thanks. Right? But with anything that we ask her to do, she's only going to have resistance if I'm giving her resistance. I expect them to answer, I just don't think it's a big deal. Is it really a big deal? Is it really a big deal? When you go into the doctor and they have you step on the scale and they see exactly how much you weigh, is it really, it's your doctor. It's like, whatever. Like, I wish it was less, but it is what it is, whatever. You got to put it in the chart, whatever. Right? But it's not like you're like, no, I'm not stepping on the scale. Well, how much do you weigh? I'm not telling you. It just doesn't happen, right? Because the doctor fully expects you to comply, as do I. Not in a beat-up kind of way, but I'm like, here's the whole thing. You'll find this as you ask enough times. When you're asking, they're answering, asking, answering, there's a rapport, it feels awkward or uncomfortable for them not to answer. It feels awkward or uncomfortable. It feels more awkward and uncomfortable for them not to answer than to tell you, even if they don't like what they're telling you. Does that make sense? Okay. So, I want you to grab a partner. I created these sheets for you guys. So, and we're just going to go off of page 1. Somebody be the interviewer. Somebody be the interviewee. I'm going to start you guys. We'll go like 5 minutes, and then we'll switch. And I just want you guys, you can ask whatever probing questions on here you want. You can add questions. You can take off questions. You can take notes, or you can just listen. You don't have to take notes. You can just listen. And like I'm really good at just listening and like actively listening, and I can repeat back verbatim almost everything they told me just because I listened. Here you go, Trace. Yeah, so Steve said I already know the answers, so pick someone you don't know the answers for. Pick somebody you don't know the answers for, and the best way to answer you guys, if I can get your attention for like 30 more seconds, the best way to answer is if you're part-time in your current job now, just answer it for that. If you're full-time, answer as if you're still working at the last job you had before you became full-time. Okay? So go ahead and find somebody that you would like to learn this from. Go ahead and give it a try. typically it's just been one person interviewing the other. I want to get some feedback so far from the person doing the interviewing. And just any feedback at all. Anything that you've noticed. Len makes it easy, why?
Because he's forthcoming with answering questions.
Okay. You're also asking probing questions, and people love to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
But the problem is most people don't get a chance to because the other person wants to. When you're the one asking and listening, it's easy.
One question naturally leads to the next question.
Yeah. So it just sort of flows, right? Excellent, excellent. What else? Somebody else had a hand.
When you're being interested instead of interesting, you're focused on them and they like us, and it's easy to talk to, easy to flow.
Right. Right. Good. What else?
Information that we're probing for kind of comes out as you ask the question.
Comes out easily, right? How does it, when you're interviewing, when you're the interviewer, do you feel like you're the person in control, in charge, like you're doing the interviewing? Yes or no?
Yes.
But it's hard or easy? Easy. It's easy, isn't it? Okay? So if you just slip in the question at the right time, how many of you tried to ask the income question so far? Anybody try yet? Ricky did? Anybody else? A few of you? What'd you find, Ricky?
It was actually handed to me because one of the things she didn't like about her job was how much she made. So I asked her, well, how much does someone like that make in your position?
Excellent, excellent. Michelle?
It was easy. I kind of got him talking about a couple good things, and then I kind of threw that in, and it kind of hesitated and like wasn't really happy. I could tell he wasn't happy with the answer.
Right, right. But did he answer?
Yeah.
Grady?
Yeah, one of the questions I asked about what he did and everything kind of laid it short because what didn't he like about it, it was the inconsistency in having that steady income on a basis. So that's what he's not too know.
Perfect. And did he answer?
Yes.
How did you feel answering?
Okay.
So like it wasn't the most awkward thing, right? Because you're so used to. So a couple of things before we switch to the other person interviewing. I want you to contrast the way you're feeling as an interviewer right now compared to if you're going through a presentation and trying to pitch somebody and convince somebody. Do you feel like more professional right now, like more in control, or less professional, less in control? You do. Now they're doing all the talking. You're doing very little talking, which is, John, that's sort of important in sales, right? Right? You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You're supposed to use them in that proportion. Listen twice as much as you talk. You're actually doing that. And everything they're talking about is giving you all the ammunition you need to make the sale. They're giving it to you. So rather than pitching and presenting all these ideas why they should be interested, they're giving you all the reasons that they would be interested. And then we'll get to that in just a second, okay? So I want you to switch sides. Now the other person becomes the interviewer. And interviewers, I want you at some point just to ask the income question. Whenever things are flowing, you're in rapport. I just want you to practice it here where you've got nothing to lose, okay? I'm going to give you guys like another 8 to 10 minutes, so it gives you a chance to really get deep into the interview. Go ahead and get started.
So how long do you work on it?
What did we learn? learn?
Fun.
Fun. Wait, like, could you guys just feel the energy in the whole room?
Yeah.
It's like the most energy we've had all night. Right? What? Because it's like the energy goes up when you're talking about these kinds of things. Like, what else? Good. Oh,
We didn't necessarily switch, when you talk about probing questions, John's asking me questions and learning stuff, and I'm learning stuff about myself that I didn't even, know, and things about this with WFG, and it's crazy. It's fascinating,
yeah. And it's simple.
yeah. And he's good at the interview.
It's very good. That's why I want him to learn this stuff. We need him.
I learned that I can get this information easily, more easily than I ever thought. And I just asked her about herself and I just try to be, not Christopher, giving me
We
the
got one too
points,
many of those already.
giving me the points that you've given me. I think I got most of it. I think I got most of it out of her, so I felt really good about it.
That's why I didn't want to give you guys a script. I just wanted to give you a process and some ideas to just sort of, you can feel free to, as you're having the conversation, like add questions or subtopics that sort of make sense, or it can go off on a tributary here or there, or you don't have to ask them all. This is just like literally going back to when I was with AT&T, when I was with Verizon. This is the same kind of interview I would do no matter where I was, because I wanted to get to know them. And the more that I ask them questions that they're comfortable answering just about themselves and their family and where they grow up and where they go to high school. I don't know if any of you guys heard me talking to one of the guests afterwards. I meant like, where'd you go to high school? What sports did you play? Like, it's just a way of getting to know people. People love to talk about themselves. And the more that you get to know people, the more comfortable I am making a decision when I've only got maybe one spot to offer and 10 or 12 or 15 people interviewing for it. And I'm gonna give them a salary and a company car and benefits. And if I hire the wrong one, it's really hard to get rid of them. Like I gotta jump through like months and months of red tape and documenting, and it's a pain, right? So this is more like a normal interview, and what I wanted you guys to experience is right now, not like at some point in the future, like right now it's okay for you to feel confident doing this, right? Like, we don't need to do like 10 weeks of this over and over for you to, like, immediately, how many of you feel confident doing this as the interviewer? Right? Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
John?
I don't want to gloss over this, and I know you know this, and I know you know it's important, but when you're asking those questions and you're actively listening, you mentioned that earlier, to the other person, so the people that were being interviewed, did you think that that person that was asking that question cared about you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and if you know that this person is asking questions and they actually care about you, are you now more apt to listen to what they have to say when they offer you something?
Yep.
You totally take down all the defensive right from the start.
That's a great point. Because when we do a one-on-one and we're doing a flip chart and we're pitching and presenting and trying to convince, who does it seem like we care about? Ourselves. Like I need to get another person on my team to build my pyramid, right? We're now currently hiring for positions at the bottom of my pyramid, right? What John just said is, now they know that you care about them, just based on the way that you're listening, and by some of the questions that you're asking. When they know that you care about them, now they're more willing to listen to you, right? It's reciprocity. Yes.
I just want to say something that's totally clicked. When Natalie was interviewing me, she was like, I already came to the BPM, but she was going through the process, and I was still pretty much on the fence. I just came to interview just to practice interviewing, because I haven't practiced in like 9 years.
Right.
And because of the fact she asked me where I went to high school, we found out we went to high school actually together, 2 years apart.
No way.
And I automatically, all my fences came down, and the next thing I know, I'm giving her $100. I didn't even realize that until we were doing this, and you were talking. Like that was where all my defenses came down. Because I still I was unemployed. I think I had like $130 in my checking account, and I.
She only got 100 of it?
Yeah, she only got
I have to
100.
reprimand her for that.
Well, 30 went to licensing, so.
Okay, now I feel better. Wesley.
When you ask ask them the question about what would you change about their career,
Right.
you find out how the things that are bad with the job. So you realize like how WFG, like, man, this could really like answer those problems. But then also when they start to tell them like, this is what I would do, this is what I would do, the other side of that too is their strengths are revealed. And then you're like, you would be a really good fit for this company.
Right.
And so you start to believe for them in this job, even if they don't have that belief.
Yes, and when you have that confidence and energy, but not in a convincing way, with that confidence and energy, we're setting it up for them to convince us.
Yeah.
So, great point. Anybody else?
You're also able to use their words to instill their belief system based on what they told you.
Yes. When they talk about things that frustrate them, or their goals, or their dreams, or something being like a 9 or a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, like those are things that I like to repeat back to them, just to like, rather than just skip over, to let them know I heard you, to acknowledge it and how important it is to them, and for us just to sort of sit in it for a minute. Like, boy, it sounds like it's really important for you to be able to let your wife stay home and raise your kids. Like a 10, that's a big deal. Like, how long do you think you have to work at your current company before you'll be able to earn the income where she can do that? You guys can realize that, right? Let's have a conversation about it. Like John said, we're already in the space of like rapport and caring, and now they're sharing like something that's important to them. Like, let's talk about that. And then the transparency comes out like, well, there's no way I can in my current job. Right? So now we've got something to talk about. Anybody have anything else before we move forward? Yes.
Some things were just connected the dots, like he said, what doesn't he, or asked a question about the boss, if I recall it. He said, you know, you probably needs a little bit more confidence in yourself. And I said, you know, with doubling your income, maybe a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
He said, absolutely, with the real smile.
Yeah. So one of the things I'll say, like another question that's not even on there, but just another one similar to that I'll ask a lot of times is, Chris, who's your best friend?
Ricky Montag.
Ricky, okay. So if I was to call Ricky right now, how would he describe you to me?
Not how I want it.
This is usually a chance for people to talk good about themselves. Oh, I'd say I'm a really great friend, and I'm dependable, and I'm this and that, right?
Right. You know, Ricky would probably just tell you that, you know, I'm all around just a genuine guy. Whatever I set my mind to, I know that I can achieve that. I just need everyone to question it.
Yeah. Sometimes you say, well, what are your strengths? Sometimes people are just like, it's sort of an awkward space for them. But if I create this story, hey, who's your best friend? If I called him right now, if I called her right now, how would she describe you to me? Oh, she'd probably say, I'm this, that, and the other, whatever, right? So now let's flip it over. Let's flip it over. I'm going to go through this worksheet with you the first time. So the person that you just interviewed, what are their reasons to change? Like, what are they dissatisfied with right now? What goal are they not achieving? What are they dissatisfied with at work? Is it pay? Is it pay? Is it hours? Is it recognition? Is it working conditions? Or is it like, maybe it's just something that from talking to them, like they don't feel like they're on track to achieve their goals, or they feel like they're sort of stuck in life. What are some reasons, and just put it right here on the back, the person that you just talked to or interviewed, what's a reason or two that you think they would want to leave what they're doing and maybe consider WFG? So what's a point of dissatisfaction?
Because I was about, because my last question was, tired of saying, that was in my chance to go.
Some of you already shared them.
Like, you know,
When you get
what
feedback.
is it that they're looking for? You know?
Some of you may have not gotten that far in the interview process. It's okay, just guess. Based on what you talked to them about so far, just guess.
Well, we can do it either way. Yeah, it doesn't, but that's what I'm saying, I would be, most of those get down reasons to change. You might not, you probably have.
Does everybody have at least one? You don't have to have two. Does everybody have at least one? Write it down. Then underneath there,
Yes, money.
we want to come up with 3 great qualities that you learned about this person during the interview. I jotted down some bullet points here of what might be great qualities. They have great people skills. They seem to have a great work ethic based on the way they talked about their jobs. Or I like their background. Or they have supervisor or management experience. Or they've got existing clients that would, that would be good clients for us. I like their family values. I like their desire to serve. They've got strong analytical skills. I think that, something of that nature. They've got experience with finance, or they've done a good job with their own money. So those are some ideas, or so you can circle 1, 2, or 3 of those if they apply. Or if there's something that you learned about them that's not in my ideas, you can just fill in the blank. You just fill in the blank. They're loyal. Like one of the things when I interviewed Jim Maloney, he had worked at Caterpillar 25 years. I would write loyal down here. I met Errol and he's been married for 25 years, I'd write loyal here, right? You may write dependable, right? Conscientious. There may be something that came up, so it may not be one of these bullet points I put up here. It may be something else. So come up with 3 things that are special qualities about this individual based on your conversation with them. Either by circling 3 things, writing down 3 ideas, circling 2 and writing down 1, writing down 2 and circling 1. But I want you to identify 3 good qualities, 3 great qualities in the person you just interviewed. It says circle all that apply. I actually only want 3. I don't want more than 3, and there's a reason for that. They're funny, they're outgoing, they're charismatic, they're dependable, they're loyal, they're hardworking. They're conscientious, they pay attention to detail, they smell good. Does anybody need help? Does anybody need help? Does everybody have 3? Does anybody not have 3? Okay, give you a little bit more time to get your 3. If you need help, I can help you. Typo. Yeah. Yeah. Does everybody have 3 qualities? Raise your hand if you have 3 qualities on your partner that you interviewed. Okay, what's next? See the 2 questions underneath there? Why those qualities will help them win in WFG is the name of the company, not WFT. There was not a coup yet. Or how those qualities have helped other leaders succeed here. So you guys want me to explain what I mean by that? Yes? So, let's say I was, on me for a second, let's say I was interviewing Chris, and I found out that he was really frustrated by his pay. He got passed over for a promotion. Some other knucklehead named James in his department got the promotion, who hasn't even worked there as long, who doesn't work as hard, doesn't get as good of results. So he's frustrated by that. That's my reason to change. I write it down here. Through talking to him, I find out that he shows up early, works late, sometimes goes in on weekends. He's got a strong work ethic. He's very results oriented, like he's going to do whatever it takes to get the results done on time by a deadline, right? And I'm just from talking to him, I like his people skills, I like his energy, it's easy for me to talk to. So those are my 3 great qualities, okay? Now the next part, what I'm going to do is connect those 3 qualities, why I think he could be successful. So here's the way that conversation would be, like, hey Chris, so we're done with this interview, right? And this interview was fairly lengthy, right? When I went through all of these different questions I asked them. So after asking them all these questions, I always sort of downplay it, like, the first interview is more of a, just sort of a get to know you, and I appreciate the chance getting to know a little bit more about you, even though I've sort of grilled them a little bit, right? I said, the more that I talk to you, Chris, is I can understand why you'd be frustrated getting passed over for that promotion, especially when you know that you were deserving of it, and one of the things that you would find here with our company is that every promotion is meritorious. In other words, as soon as you hit the objectives necessary, you get the promotion. There's no like, well, James, there's only one to give, so James gets it instead of you. There's no politics, I like James better, so I'm gonna give it to James instead of you. It's all meritorious, so as soon as you qualify for a promotion here, you get it. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? And you know, as I got to know you, the work ethic that you talk about, and I can tell how sincere you are about your work ethic, the hours that you put in, the desire to get things done, your results orientation, the fact that you're always hitting deadlines, even if you have to go on a weekend to get the job done, right? In addition to, I'll be honest with you, like your people skills, like just sitting here and talking to you, like your energy and your communication, those are all real 3 big pluses. And here's what I know, that the majority of guys that are really successful here, I'm talking about really successful, they all have a real strong work ethic. They all have a real results orientation about them, like they're gonna get the job done no matter what. And they all have good people skills, just like you do. And for those reasons, I think you could really, really do well with our firm. So what have I just done? I just took his reason that he might be interested in leaving his job, that he's frustrated, that he's disappointed, and connected it with a benefit here, right? That's the first thing I did. The second thing I did was take 3 characteristics that he knows to be true about himself. I'm not just glad-handing them. As I went through each one of those, he knows those things are true about him. And so, number 1, I'm paying him a compliment that's very sincere and genuine because I was listening, right? And I'm connecting those things that he knows to be true about him to why he would be successful here. See, the biggest deterrent I believe that most people haven't seen themselves do this is they don't think they could do this. But when I say, here's 3 things that I noticed that you're good at, and he goes, yeah, I am good at those things. And I go, by the way, all the successful guys are good at those 3 things. He goes, oh. So I've just sort of built a bridge over that natural obstacle in people's minds, right? Where they go, well, I can see why you're successful, Maurice, or I can see why you are successful, John, but I'm not like you. I just built his own bridge as to why he would be successful. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go through their reason to change with them. Say, hey, you know what? The first interview is more of a get-to-know-you interview. I just wanted to get a chance to get to know you better and see if you might be a candidate for our firm. Based on everything that we've talked about so far, I think I'd like to move forward, and here's why. Then go to their reason to change. Based on what you told me about this, right? Might be a good time for you to consider a career change, and here's why that wouldn't happen here, okay? And then go through their 3 qualities and be sincere. Make sure they're qualities that really represent this person, right? So be sincere when talking about, I really noticed this, and I like that a lot, I like that a lot, I like that a lot. And by the way, other successful people have those attributes, or these are important attributes to being successful here. Can everybody do that? Do we have any questions? Just really those 2 steps. So, finish the interview, right? Here's what the purpose of the first interview was. By the way, reason to change, that wouldn't happen here. 3 great qualities about you, that's why I think you'll win here. Everybody clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that each way. Let's do it once, and then when you're done one side, just sort of raise your hand so I know, and then I'll know when to stop, get feedback, and then we'll do it the other way.
switch, we're actually bringing up more things. Once you listen to this, the first thing we do is basically just get to know you. Just want to, find out some more about you and all that. But basically, that's what they mean is one of the things that I'd like to learn about you, I know that you're
Alright, did everybody get to that? Let's bring it up. I think everybody did. Let's bring it up front. Hello. Hello. Alright. Hopefully we all got to do just one person to the other feedback. From either one of the two people. Feedback from the interviewer or the interviewee.
I'm just, wow,
What a
God
guy.
is so good. He is so good. Now we all have walls, right? And we have WFG walls. We've got walls in our life. When we come to WFG, there's all these things going, how come I can't, why don't I, and there is some serious, like, aha, egg cracking, brain exploding stuff happening here that is just amazing.
You should
Like,
marry that guy.
it's amazing. I'm super geeked
We
out.
couldn't help it.
We are continuing this interview at home.
He said egg crack and brain exploding. I couldn't help but think of the drugs commercials in the end. This is your brain.
This is just right on WFG.
Yeah. This is your brain on WFG. I like it. Other feedback from either the interviewer or the interviewee.
I like how she tied in not my qualities,
Yeah.
basically with, it's not like picking it out and just throwing it back at me. It was a conversation so good that I would be a good asset to the company, basically.
Excellent. Excellent. Who else? David.
He said nice things about me that I said about myself earlier, but
Yeah.
he echoed me. He said the same things that I thought about myself.
But he's about to say not nice things. It's a setup. That's why I stopped here, because I knew this would be the part that you guys would all like and be comfortable with. There's two tough parts in this. One is asking what they make. And it's only tough because you think it's tough, and once you do it a half a dozen or 10 times, you're like, that's so easy, it's stupid. Right? And it gives you the real control and the power in the conversation, which you need to have to be able to influence somebody. Right? It's not that you want to have control and power to be some sort of puppeteer, but you want to be able to influence them to help them make decisions that are good for them. You don't want to struggle over these things, right? Other feedback, either as the interviewer or the interviewee. Yes.
I kind of jumped ahead a little bit.
Okay.
But I told him that he had great people skills, and then when I kind of jumped ahead, he goes, well, I don't have good people skills. And then I basically reaffirmed that he does have good people skills and why he actually does.
Good. Good.
I noticed from them that the interviewee were asking questions and he was answering the questions. So would that be a normal
Yes.
normal thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Because, this is an interview, right? So
Yes.
he should be asking the question and
Yes.
he answering the question.
Yes. If the interviewee asks the interviewer a question, I'm going to give a brief answer and then return a question right back to remote control. Yeah. It's a control thing. The person asking questions is in control of the conversation. And you want to be, now here's what I want you to think about, whether it's Errol, or it's Jeanette, or it's Grady, or it's Soletti, or it's Elizabeth, it's Glenn, any one of you guys with this format sitting in a conference room looks like somebody in human resources doing an interview. Nobody knows you used to drive a truck. Nobody knows you work, nobody knows, nobody cares. It's, they see you at face value, the way you appear, the way you're dressed, and the way you conduct the interview. This is, the reason that this has worked for me is because it's a lot like every other interview they've been through their entire life. Where somebody's asking, they've never been through an interview where somebody got out a flip chart and was pitching them. on why they should do the job. And all of a sudden, like, radar, like, walls go up like, this is weird, this isn't really an interview. This is something else. So I wanna interview them because that's what they're used to. We're different enough as it is, we don't have to make ourselves look more different. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes I can't help it, and I appreciate diversity, I do. Anybody who knows me well knows I appreciate that. But sometimes with the piercings and like all the other things that people are doing today, right? There's so many like the holes and the ink and the dress, and it's like sometimes it's like I want to be different just like everybody else, right? So it's like we all try and be so different. We're really sort of now being more like each other because we're trying so hard to be different. So we're different enough. I just want this to be as similar as possible to every other interview that they've been on, and just feel like an interview. Yeah, John.
And I wanted to go back to what you said about asking questions. If somebody's asking me questions when I'm supposed to be in control, and I still am, it actually just don't be concerned about questions. It's actually a sign that they are interested in paying attention to what you're talking about. If they're asking you legitimate questions, that's a great sign.
Yes.
You just gotta be able to turn it back towards your.
Yeah, and the other thing is I taught Wesley this. I think I used the PC version of it. But when somebody asks you something, you don't want to just volunteer it. It's like if somebody said, "Oh, well, could I do this part-time?" You just go, "Yeah, actually you can." You just like, they're asking for something. This is something they want, and you just gave it away for free. You just gave it away for free. So if you have something that they want, you want to sort of like dole it out. It's like ice cream and a kid, right? You just go, yeah, here's the gallon, right? You're like, okay, well, if you clean your room, and then you do this, and then you do that, maybe I'll make you a scoop, right? So when they ask you something, especially if it's like John said, an easy, you don't want to just give it away, right? You don't want to just give it away. You want to like, well, I mean, if you could start on a part-time basis, would that be something that would be important to you? Okay. So if you're able to start on a part-time basis, that would be something that would be, you could see yourself doing, I guess, if it was possible. Yeah, I could totally see myself doing that. I mean, if it was possible, if they'd let me. Now they're convincing me what they'll do if they could start part-time. Then in that way better than just go, yep, you can start part-time, then where do you go from there? Like nowhere, right?
So that goes back to answering every question with a question.
Yeah, yeah. Not to like, not to drill them, but we're trying to influence somebody. We're trying to sell, and so this is all part of influencing somebody. Okay, so here's the next step, and I purposely say this because this is the part that's going to make some of you cringe. How many of you liked the way it felt when you just told them 3 good qualities about themselves? Don't lie, you all did. You love that stuff. You love telling people why they're going to be great at WFG. You love encouraging people. That's awesome. It's not a bad thing. It's just bad for recruiting. It's just bad. Oh, I'm sorry. It's bad for selling. So we need to take it away now. So right after, the next thing I want you to fill out here, right after you went over their 3 great qualities and you were sincere and you told them how those 3 great qualities would benefit them, now what you want to do is, this should all 3 of these should just be in one really. We're just looking for one big thing. What would keep them from winning here? So let me give you some examples. I give some examples down here at the back, at the bottom. Their age. Wesley, you're too young. Well, you know what? So I tell Wesley 3 great qualities, and then as soon as I get done telling him 3 great qualities, I go, you know, but my biggest concern is really to be an advisor. Advisors really come into their prime in their mid to late 30s and then their 40s and 50s, and I'm just afraid that he might be a little bit too young for a career in financial services. After I just told him 3 great qualities about himself and how he could be successful here, how does that feel? I just punched him in the nose. So if he's got anything at all in him, as soon as I say he's too young, what's he going to say?
He's going to convince you why he's not.
He's going to convince me why he's not. So now he's convincing me, not me convincing him, right? I talked to James, and I just went through James's 3 great qualities, blah, 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 blah. And then I go, but can I be honest with you? He goes, yeah. I go, my biggest concern is you don't have any experience whatsoever in our industry. I mean, you didn't study it at school, you've never worked with a firm like you have zero experience in our industry. And like our training is unbelievable, it's just sort of a concern of mine that you don't even have a little bit of experience. Now, how's he gonna respond? If he's like, yeah, you're right, I don't, I'm a loser. Thanks anyway. Then I'm like, okay. That's probably a guy that's gonna be a lot of work even if he said yes. But the right guy, after I just told him, you're a stud because of this and this and this, and here's why I think you'd be successful, but here's my concern. You don't have any experience, Rob. That's like zero. Like, we've got great training, but you have like zero experience. He's gonna be like, people naturally want what they can't have. When you say you're not good enough, you're too young, you're too old, you have too much experience, you don't have enough experience, you're too new to the area, you're whatever, people naturally like, no, let me prove you wrong. No, you're wrong. People naturally want to do that, and that's, you want them at this point convincing you. So, is it their age? Is it their experience? Is it their background? Is it their education? You know, I mean, you never finished college, or you never went to college, or you only have a college degree. Right? Whatever their weakness is, this is where you go for it. This is where you go for the juggler. Right? You know what? I like your work experience, but like you never got promoted into management role, so not only do you not have the management experience, but it concerns me a little bit that you never even got the opportunity. You never got promoted. Let me tell you why I didn't, and here's why I should have, and here's why I'd be great, right? The right guy's going to come back like that, right? You know what? You're new to the area. You don't. Whatever it is. So I want you right now to just this is only one thing. You're not looking for 3 reasons. You're looking for one, right? You're only looking for one. You only need to punch them in the nose once. So we gave them 3 reasons why we're like stroking their hair and patting them on the back and making them feel good, right? 3 of those, and then just one, and it just stings. And you want it to sting. And don't worry, we're going to rescue them. So don't worry, we're going to rescue them, but you've got to sting them first. So I want you to write down one reason why you think they're not good enough. One way to challenge them, one way to take it away. Write down a real reason for the person that you're talking to. Whatever it is. Write down a reason that's true. Now, it doesn't mean they can't win here. What you just want to do is take it away and challenge them. They're 8, you're too old, you're too young, you don't have any experience, you have too much experience, you have the wrong background, you don't have any management experience, you don't have the education, something, you smell funny, something, right? Oh yeah, a lot of people like the way I smell. Alright, I need some references, I'm not going to do this.
She said, I'll know if I got it right because it'll make her cry. She's going so well.
Alright, does everybody have something written down? Yes? No? Yes? No?
Yes.
Does anybody need help writing something down? Who needs help coming up with one?
He can't find any reason why I wouldn't be successful.
Oh my Lord. Let me count the legs. Fortune, how long has it been since she worked?
A long time.
Yeah. Be like, God, I mean, it seems great, but like, I wish I would have met you 10 years ago. It just seems like you've been out of the working force for quite a while, and I'm just afraid you're probably too comfortable right now. And I'm just not so sure that this is the right fit for you, because I'm really looking for somebody who's still got that spark in them.
Okay, I'm gonna start
Just look at her physiology as I'm saying this stuff. I'm driving her crazy.
Yeah, listen to
Right?
come back
That's what you
now.
want to do. You want to tweak them where they're like, no, that's BS, no. Sometimes you could say exactly what it is, and they're going to be pissed and fight you back, even if you're right. Just because they don't want it to be true, right? So has everybody got one? Fortune, does that help?
Yes.
I got more for her if you do.
I thought we were only doing one.
Oh, that's right, we're only supposed to do one. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else need help with one? Okay, so let's start at the top here, not the flip side. Let's start at the top here, because I want you to go through the reason for them to change, the 3 good qualities, how that ties to them being successful, then, hey, can I give you some feedback? Here's my concern. And then I want you to punch them in the nose and see how they respond. If they respond like a champ at all, then the end is, okay, well, let me explain to you the interview process. This is the first interview. I'd like to move you forward to the second part of the interview process, okay? And I'll explain what that is to you later, and then we'll get out of here, okay? But I want each one of you to go through it once. So the reason, the 3 good qualities, here's why that'll make you successful. Then the challenge or the takeaway, let them convince you. And you're gonna see, as bad as it hurts to insult somebody like that, and I know it's gonna be hard for you guys, how good it feels to have them convincing you why they're good enough to work here. It's gonna be a revelation for some of you, an epiphany, right? And then just go, okay, you know what, now that you said that, Wesley, okay, I'm willing to take a chance and at least move you forward to the next stage of the interviewing process. And that's where I explained to them what the corporate overview is and what, okay? Anybody have any questions before we start? This is the last exercise of the night. All right, let's go.
Let me call her.
So listen, I understand that you're interested in finding some place that I guess I'm just a little concerned that you've been doing the same thing for 20 years and work well. Change.
And even in the morning, it was doing this, doing the census thing. And I've been chatting with field reps.
Yeah.
And so you have to just take it all got a
All right.
laptop and all.
How many of you punched somebody in the nose figuratively? Okay. So tell me about punching someone in the nose, and tell me about being punched in the nose. Diane.
Well, it was, I knew it was the right punch because the look on his face, right?
Right.
He hesitated, like, whoa, like, he had to think. And,
Right.
it actually felt really good, because I knew I threw the right punch. It did, because then it made him think, like, okay, I'm like watching him going, wow, you gotta come up with something to convince me why you're gonna be successful here.
Right.
And he did. I mean, it took him a little bit though.
Because he's a stud.
But anyway, so
He's
yeah.
got some self-respect, right? You don't, you're gonna be like, yeah, okay.
Well, then even after we finished, he let me know, like, wow, you threw a good punch.
Tony,
Doug punched me in the nose. He said, "You're a little bit older than what I'm looking for."
excellent. Nice and personal.
Then he kind of brought up an objection to his own punch. He said, "You're not supposed to discriminate on age."
No.
So
So that's a softener. So one of the things, and I saw this with a couple of people, when you punched him in the nose, you kept talking. A couple of you like kept talking like, well, you're too old, and then that keep going and going. Like, you just gotta say it and just shut up and see how they respond.
what if me as the punchee says, "You're not supposed to discriminate on age"?
You're right, but you're not hired as an employee here. People are hired as an independent contractor here. So if this was, if we were hiring people as an employee, you'd be 100% right.
So we're not really under those rules,
Right.
per se.
Carol.
Teresa didn't, hit me with age, but we discussed it afterwards, and what she said was, we might not be able to keep up with some of the other leaders in the activities.
Yes.
Oh,
It's a subtle way to say you're too old.
Damn, girl, she's smooth. But you didn't use that,
Yeah.
You know, I didn't wanna use that one, I used something that she didn't say
Right.
about.
Because you don't want to offend them, but you do want to challenge them. That's what you really want to do, is
Yeah.
challenge them.
So, being a teacher, teaching, children, kids, I just went there, you've never taught adults. And that's when she like came back at me. And I said, I'm glad you told me that. Based
Good.
on that, I like to give you a chance to go through the second.
Listen to that. So Carol came back, and then Teresa's response as the interviewer was, I'm glad you told me that. Based on that, I think I'm willing to move forward. It's like a pro. It's like a pro. Nina.
Jeanette socked me in the nose, telling me that, I wasn't qualified, not the word she used, but, because I'm an accountant, I work by myself.
Right.
But she never asked me in the first part of the interview what my background in education was. I have a degree in finance and I have a degree in accounting.
So you brought that up.
I brought that back to her.
And she was so convicted about it. She was like, this
I worked hard for it. And I put myself through school.
You didn't ask me.
But here's the genius of it. She's so convicted, she's like slamming her and convincing her that she's qualified to work, right? As opposed to her trying to convince her.
Yep.
That's the whole reason you do it. To get them no, I'm good enough. No, you should consider me. No, you should look at me. No, you should let me go to the next stage. It's the whole reason you're punching them in the nose. Because it's better for, you want them to go to the next stage, yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
You don't want to have to convince them,
No.
right? How many times have you like tried to convince somebody and then they said no? And then the more they say no, the more you try to convince them.
Yes.
And then you just like leave and you're just like, I just need to take a shower, I feel dirty,
Yeah.
right? No. This is the opposite. Now and then you're like, you know what, yeah, I sort of like it, let's go ahead and move it to the next stage. That's like a completely different way of recruiting people, right? They feel better about coming, you feel better about them coming.
Michelle brought me back to when I actually sat down and interviewed with you.
Yeah?
And the deal was that, yeah, you have all those years in working in janitorial and as a manager and everything, but you've never worked in the field of financial services.
Right.
That's exactly what
That's
she
exactly
said.
what she said. See, you're already me. It's not that hard to be me, really. You do that enough times, and I mean, that's the way it works out. Yeah. And I bet it felt exactly the same way coming from her. So it's not like the suit, it's not, right, it's the process. It's just the process, Michelle.
And one thing I noticed when Errol was giving me my 3 qualities and what I wanted, he was doing a really good job of mirroring the exact words that I used.
Powerful.
So it's like, okay, he really heard me, and then so then when he punched, you know, gave me the little punch, I'm like jerk. Like, I'm gonna show you.
When you use, we have a tendency a lot of times to want to use similar words back to people to show them how smart we are. Use their words, especially if they've got unique words, right? Like Nina just said socked when she socked me in the nose, and somebody over there like, socked, I use socked. That's her word, right? And so now she really knows that I heard her. And so the rapport is stronger, so then when I sting her, it's like she wants to get back to that rapport. She wants to get back to that feeling of comfortable and feeling good,
I
right?
didn't even want him to finish what his objection to me was. I wanted to already shut up already. You're wrong.
How many of you felt that on the inside when you got punched? Like you didn't even want them to finish, like you wanted to cut them off, right? Right? So that's natural. What I'm trying to teach you to do is how to get that in the other person. The other thing I'm trying to share with you is I'm not a guru. You're a guru. If you do these things, it makes you a guru of influencing people that they want to look closer, that they're more intrigued, that they're interested, that they want to be picked, they want to be a part of the team. Because you've got their reasons, which is the number one. If a person without reasons, a person who's not dissatisfied, is not going to consider. So you spent the whole first part of the questionnaire trying to find some reasons, trying to find one good reason, right? You overcome the biggest objection in their mind is, I couldn't do something like that. Why? Because I was in maintenance for so many years, right? Or I did this for so many years, or that for so many years, or I've never done anything like that, or it's been so long since I've been in the workforce, right? So I couldn't do something like this, right? And so you're building the bridge for them that know you could do this, and here's why I know that you could. And when you're talking about three things that they know to be true about them, they actually go, yeah, maybe I could do that. See, if you just go, man, Nina, you'd be awesome at this, you'd be great, you'd be super, I'd tell you, you'd kill it. She's like, no, I wouldn't. I could never do something like that. And it almost feels like fake, because it is. But if I say three things that she knows are true about herself, and connect those to why she'll be successful here, now I've just overcome one of the biggest objections of her. So I've found the reason for her to consider it, overcome the objections of, I can't do that, right? And then I flipped the table and made her want to do it. Because we always want what we cannot have. It's just human nature. So that's what you're playing to. That's why you have to be tough enough to just do that one little punch in the nose. And it's just momentary. As you can tell, when you came back at the person or when they came back at you, the punch in the nose is healed that quickly. But you got to have the courage to say it and just let it sit for a second, let them respond. As soon as they respond, then you give them the free pass, just right like, oh, you know what? You're right. I didn't ask about that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Maybe I should consider it. Good job.
Connection isn't just reestablished, it's deeper.
What's that?
The connection isn't just reestablished, it's deeper.
Yeah, very good. So after they overcome the challenge, the takeaway, it's not just reestablished, the connection is deeper. You gave them the opportunity to sort of dig deeper and make that connection even stronger. Okay? So, did this feel like a good first start?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think we went long enough?
Yeah.
I don't want to cheat you of your hours. But at the same time, I don't want to make this like some sort of contest to prove how late we can go. But I feel like this was a really good start for us. Here's what I just sort of want to break down, just sort of, I want you to see how this can play out for you right now, whether you do a one-on-one or not this week. The questions on the front, when I was meeting guests after the BPM, same sort of questions that I was asking. Anybody, Ariel was in there, right? It's just, I don't always do the 5 and the 2 when I'm meeting somebody prospecting or when I'm meeting, like, these are the types of questions that I ask to get to know somebody and start poking around and digging. And just these kind of probing questions, people are going to spill their guts. And the more they talk, I'm going to find the answers to that I'm looking for. I'm going to find where they're dissatisfied. I'm going to find 3 things that I like about them. And by the way, I want you to learn to look for things that you like in people. Yes. It's a leadership quality. When managers look for things to fix in people. Right? Sometimes spouses do that too. Leaders look for things that are inherently good in people, qualities, characteristics, right? So talents, gifts. So I want you to, as you're talking to people, look for a dissatisfaction point and look for things that you can give them sincere feedback on and compliment them. It's one of the things, honestly, I've done so much over the years, like I have to be, sometimes I catch myself and I have to sort of be cautious and just sort of keep it to myself. Because sometimes I'll just be out in public and I go, I'll start to, and I'll go, you know what? If I say what I'm thinking to her, she might think I'm being like flirtatious or something, you know what I mean? And it's like totally not my intention, but as I've gotten older, I've gotten to the point where she might not take that the right way. And so I've sort of had to reel it in, but I just so quickly naturally see things that in people, and here's what I know, is that most people you're gonna encounter all day long, it's been a long time since they had a sincere compliment. A real one, since they had a sincere compliment. And you giving a stranger a sincere compliment, a sincere one that's true and that's sincere, it's like you show up like you're a guru. Because it's just so unusual, right? And we live in a culture where I think most people's self-esteem and self-confidence and self-worth because of what's going on in our culture is sort of undermined. You know what I mean? I mean, one of the things I was pointing to Elizabeth, because like a lot of times I gotta be careful about complimenting women in public, because we live in a culture that says like, if you don't look like a runway model, like you're not good enough, right? Which is just horseshit. It's the stupidest thing in the world, but you get bombarded with these messages so much that people have insecurities and have doubts and have uncertainties, and so that's a super key blossom. I love it. Boy, that's a really adorable hair. Like, I love the way your hair looks on you, and there's not a lot of girls that could wear their hair like that, and it looks terrific on you. That's sincere and it's genuine, and women need to hear that stuff.
And I challenge them to listen for the negatives being thrown at you, because if they can get you to believe that you're less than, they can sell you the product that fits you.
They can what?
Sell you the product that fits you.
Yes,
That's why the negative marketing is
Yes.
out there. That's why the negative.
Yes.
It's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way it is.
Yes.
But you're right. People don't expect it. When you listen to them, you hear them, and you pay them that one compliment based on what you've heard. And they can't argue that you are saying because it's genuine.
Yeah.
It's important.
And you may not get their name or number, it may not go any further, but it's okay. So, the reason I'm just going through this real quick, these are good probing questions with anybody you meet. You may find yourself in a conversation on the phone or one-on-one with a friend, an old colleague, right? Or somebody that you just met. And you may just find yourself naturally this week looking for dissatisfaction points. Looking for 3 gifts or talents or things that you really appreciate and adore about them. You may even find yourself looking for that one thing, like if I was going to take it away, what would I do to take it away? You may even just find yourself just sort of looking for that. Because I promise you, even like if I meet somebody at Starbucks in just a hurry and I pay them some sort of compliment and I'm sort of prospecting them, I'll take it away just a little bit. And that's going to increase the chances of them taking my phone call or returning my call. I'm not sure if, I gave him the compliment. I don't know, let me get your card real quick just so I can follow up. Oh my God, I got it totally wrong. Yeah, let me get your card real quick. I don't know if it'd be a fit or not. I'm not so sure if you have the background or the experience that we're looking for, but you've got a great personality and great people skills. I like that about you. So I may have somebody on my staff give you a call. Now, who could be on my staff? Any one of you could make the call for me, right? Any one of you could say the same thing. But so that just a little bit of a just takeaway there, even when I'm just prospecting them, right? Rather than a convincing. So I just wanted to create a sense of awareness, and I wanted you to feel just really quick, just in one session tonight, like how good you could be at this stuff. This isn't something that like a long time from now I could be good at it. Like she just did it as good as I did it for him. Like when I did it for him for real. In a role play, she did it as good as I did when I was doing it for real. And that's how good you already are now. It's just easy. And you've done this stuff before. It's just a different way of organizing. Okay? So play with it. This is yours to keep. This is a good start for us. Yes?
Yeah, I noticed that this is more catered to those who are in the job, not already have a business of their own or.
The guy that I just recruited that makes $350,000 a year,
Used to.
Same thing. Got to know him, same thing. What's he dissatisfied with at his job, even though he's making $350 a year? I found more than one. It was really easy for me to find his strengths, his good qualities, and it was really easy for me to punch him in the nose. Like, I got off the phone with him, he's in Pocatello, Idaho. Within 30 minutes, he texted me, said, my wife and I are picking up the kids in the truck, we're on our way to LA now. How do you think he responded to the punch? Pretty good. I didn't try and convince him, just the opposite. I punched him in the nose. His response is, I'll drive 12 hours to meet you. Okay? So,
What was the punch?
what?
What was the punch?
It was related to his dissatisfaction point, and knowing that a guy that was making $35,000 4 years ago and is now making $350, that he's probably hungry, he's probably comfortable, that a guy like that is probably so comfortable because he feels like he's at the top of that he probably wouldn't even consider making a change. Right? And it's really not, I'm looking for the kind of guy that's not tapped out at $350. You know, that's not really the end of the rainbow for him.
What, 130 years old?
What is he? No, he's like, he's around, he's right on, he's, whatever. Everybody's young. Alright, everybody's young. So, just play with these things, that's all. That's all, just play with them this week in conversations. And just know that you are good at these things already. You've proven that tonight, just keep doing something, okay? Next Thursday, I'm gonna be at Tony Robbins working on myself. So somebody else will be doing Alexander Trade. Next Thursday, I'll be back the following Thursday with you guys, okay? Thanks,
All right, Jared, let's go.